the Akaso Brave 4 Elite, a brand new budget action camera that only costs $189 US. It has 4 unique features that set it apart from its competitors, including one feature that I have never seen on an action camera. So Akaso sent me this camera to check out, but they didn't pay me to say anything, and they did not review this video before publishing. So these are my honest opinions about this camera. Now before I talk about the unique features, let's start with the basics. It's got dual-facing screens and can also shoot in up to 4K 60 frames per second video and 20 megapixel photos. It also has built-in stabilization and an ultra-wide lens with distortion calibration, and it can also zoom in just a little bit. Now before I go any further, I want to repeat that this is a budget action camera. So in terms of image quality, you still get what you pay for, and it's not going to be as crisp and as stable as what you would get on a GoPro, but that's a $500 camera. This is a $190 camera, and it does have some features that GoPro doesn't have. This camera is also waterproof all by itself without the need of a cage for up to 15 meters. Or you can dive deeper to 40 meters if you use the included waterproof housing. So one thing that I've always liked about Akaso action cameras is that they give you tons of action camera accessories right out of the box. They have things like that waterproof cage that I talked about, the remote control, a handlebar and helmet mounts, tether, filter, and double-sided tape. These are all accessories that you would have to buy separately for pretty much every other action camera brand out there. Now the first cool feature I want to talk about this camera is a built-in fill light, which you can actually see just here below the lens. I can't think of another action camera that has this, and it's also cool because you can set it to on or auto. And when it's on auto, it automatically turns on whenever it's needed. It can be a little bright if you're trying to vlog with this light, but for illuminating a subject when you're standing behind the camera, it's a pretty neat feature. The second unique feature about this camera is that it has a built-in 1650 milliamp hour battery that cannot be removed. Now on one hand, it might seem like a downside because once that battery dies, you can't swap it out for a new one. But it can also be seen as a positive because this way you don't have to spend any money on spare batteries and battery chargers. And you can't mess up your camera by incorrectly putting the battery door on or losing it, which I'm definitely guilty of. I've done that a lot on my other action cameras, and it really costs money to replace those. So because the battery is non-removable, you do have to charge this camera by physically plugging it in via a proprietary magnetic port. Now Akaso does include a USB-A charging cable, and while I do wish it was a USB-C charging port instead of this proprietary thing here, I can also understand that by doing that, they'd have to require a battery door. And so this proprietary charging port appears to be waterproof because you can plunge this whole camera as is into the water and it works just fine. The third unique thing about this action camera is that it has built-in 64GB memory. Now, like the non-removable battery, this is kind of a trade-off because once the camera is full, you can't put in a fresh memory card. But it also means you don't have to spend money on memory cards and worry about losing them. And having no memory card slot also contributes to the all-in-one waterproof design of this camera. So overall, it makes it a little bit easier to use. Now, the final unique feature about this camera is built-in facial recognition, which I'm not exactly sure how it works. I asked Akaso to kind of explain it. I'm kind of waiting for an answer. But when I'm filming with this camera and I'm looking at the screen, I can see that the camera is detecting a face and it kind of draws a little box around it. And I actually think that this camera makes faces look pretty good. I'm surprised by that actually because action cameras, it's kind of a coin toss if you're actually gonna look nice. But I think this camera, makes faces look pretty flattering, and it definitely does a pretty good job of actually detecting faces. So that can be a unique feature if you're planning to be in front of the camera or have a lot of people in front of your camera. So that's a quick introduction to the brand new Akaso Brave 4 Elite, which again is a budget action camera. It's not going to be as good in terms of image quality compared to something like the GoPro or the DJI Osmo Action 3, but this camera is a lot cheaper and it comes with all of those accessories and you don't have to buy a battery or a memory card with it, so it can be a really nice all-in-one budget action camera if this is something that you're looking for. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you are interested in this camera, I definitely think that there's some cool features that I'd like to see other action cameras try to adopt. So I have to give props to Akaso for that, for really thinking outside of the box and, you know, trying to reimagine the action camera in certain ways. So I think that's pretty cool of them. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.